trickle in.
Okay, it is 12:02. We are in the BPUB boardroom, and we are opening our meeting of the SRWA. Can I get confirmation of a quorum?
Confirmed.
Thank you. And then on to the next topic, public comment.
No public comments.
It was on, and then it went off. Okay. Okay. So on to public comments. No public comments. Okay. So now we'll move on to item number 1, the consideration and possible action on approval of the July 13th, 2026 Southmost Regional Water Authority Board meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, on to item number 2, the general manager's report.
Mr. President, members of the board, at this time, I'd like to introduce our new Chief Financial Officer, and as part of my report, and we have Mr. Justin Locke. Mr. Locke has a long tenure with the utilities. He is there seated in there, and he was previously employed here by the Brownsville Public Utilities Board from 98 to 2004. And from there, he has had various different utility roles at CPS Energy, Guadalupe Valley Authority, Gainesville Utilities in Florida. And so we welcome him on board with that. As you have noticed, we're back in our boardroom. I just want to keep mindful. If you turn on your mics, the other mic will come off. And so you should have different instructions on there. The audio is better, as you can see. A lot of you had mentioned that you couldn't hear me very well. And so that's one of the improvements that we have. We're still not completely full in the integration of the boardroom, but please bear with us. We have some additional sound muffling devices that will be installed this year. And with that, we'll start with our first item, which we have the operational chemical optimization and financial report. Both Mr. Galvan and Mr. Santillan will be presenting.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, members of the board. My name is Jacob Galvan, and I'll be presenting the production distribution report for the month ended June 30th, 2026. On tab 2 of your board binders, we have the SRWA water distribution summary and true-up estimate. And I'll begin on column C. We have the SRWA total distribution. The year-to-date was 1,855.558 million gallons for a daily average of 6.797 million gallons. On column F, we have the distribution for BPUB. The year-to-date was 1,728.005 million gallons for a daily average of 6.33 million gallons. On column G, we have the distribution for Valley Mud number 2. The year-to-date is 46.135 million gallons for a daily average of 0.169 million gallons. On column H, we have the distribution for Los Fresnos. The year-to-date is 38.74 million gallons for a daily average of 0.142 million gallons. On column I, we have the credit for B&D. The year-to-date is 38.967 million gallons for a daily average of 0.143 million gallons. On column J, we have the allocation for Indian Lake. The year-to-date is 3.77 million gallons for a daily average of 0.014 million gallons. Below, we have the true-up estimate. For BPUB, we're over 4.01 million gallons. For Valley Mud number 2, they were under by 0.44 million gallons. And for the city of Los Fresnos, they were under by 3.57 million gallons. On the next slide, we have the production and distribution report for June 2026. On the column on the left, the third column, we have the SRWA total water produced. The year-to-date was 192.014 million gallons for a daily average of 6.4 million gallons. The last column, or the first column on the right, we have the total water distributed. The year-to-date was 190.963 million gallons for a daily average of 6.365 million gallons. Below that, we have the chemical consumption costs for the month was $105,055.87. And below that, we have the electric consumption cost at $92,605.01. On the back, we have events to reduce water production. And on June 1st, we had a load test with a backup generator for the RO and the high service pump facilities. We ran the test for 3 hours with 4 ROs and 1 high service pump. And that was it. The rest of the month, we didn't have any outages or. On this slide, we have the iron, manganese, and arsenic analysis. For the 5th, we had our normal 0.3 dosages, right? The normal dosages for chlorine dioxide at 0.3, the SBS at 1.5, and the ferric at 1.0. All the results came back below standards or below the thresholds, right? And then on the 9th, we ran the trial error with a 0.2 chlorine dioxide, and results were good as well with a chlorine dioxide of 0.2.
So, yeah, for the last test, the 9th, what does product mean? I've been meaning to ask that for a while.
Product is what goes before the ground storage tank. Like, so we collected a sample after 6 hours after the adjustment, and so the product is basically a clear roll right before the ground storage. So I can see it's a faster reaction, right? It's like the first part of the facility. So we ran the test for 6 hours. We collected the sample before it went to the ground storage.
Okay, and
Does
so
that make
normally
sense?
you collect it from...
Usually we collect it coming out of the ground storage.
Okay,
But there's like
got
a
it.
long detention time before the water turns over in the ground storage tank. It takes like 24 hours. So the clear roll is smaller, so the turnover in the clear roll would be, maybe 4 hours.
Okay, might be interesting to try a couple at the product, I guess, and then as it leaves the ground storage, just to see what that difference really is. Develop
Yeah. We could do that. Try the full scale now, right? Like the turnover on the whole ground storage.
Exactly.
Sure. Okay. So on the next page, we have the ROs and the wells that were on at the time of sample collection. On the next slide, we have the graph for the manganese and the 5% blend. On the next slide, we have the arsenic with arsenic levels with 0.2 chlorine dioxide and the 1.0 ferric dosage. Here we have a graph comparing water plant production and distribution for fiscal year 25 and 26. So here we have, we're just following up with last month's meetings on some comments and questions we had. And so on the first line, we had check with electrical overhead department on proper loading for wells pertaining to the pole fuses, right, and the outages. So staff confirms with PUB's electrical engineering department that fuses are of correct size. On the next bullet, we have we spoke on recommending the testing on individual wells, the sand testing. So staff has conducted sand testing for each well in the past, but this month we're gonna start doing it monthly, or not monthly, I'm sorry, quarterly. On the next bullet, we have, we were asked if we use volume averages when determining what wells to operate. Yes, the 16 wells with the lowest manganese concentrations are selected, taking both manganese levels and well flow into account.
So to the first action item, which, great, thank you for that. We blew 2 fuses, I think, in 2 months. Do we know why we blew them then, if they're appropriately sized?
I did hear one of them was from the storm. There was a lightning strike, and so I was told, like, yeah, there was nothing we're gonna do about that one. The second one, I didn't get, like, I heard it was like on AP side on one of the substations. So I didn't, yeah,
Just be nice to have a little bit of more color behind that,
Right.
just so we know, yeah.
So on the next one, we had, there was a comment on graphing water production from the other entities. And so that's in the works right now. We have reached out to VMUD, Los Fresnos, and B&D for, so I can get their flows and have this information graphed. And we're shooting for September's board meeting to have that ready. And then on the last one, we have the well inspections to be electronic database form. And we're currently working with the asset management team on developing an electronic form for that. And that's all I have, unless you have any other questions or comments.
Mr. Galvan,
Yes.
on your graph, water production and distribution, a few pages back,
This one right here?
shows from October, correct. Going back to April of this year, we've been running a 10 million gallon shortfall compared to last year. And then we see July from last year jumping up to 220 and maintaining 220. Do we have a reason why we're running so low, and do we expect to stay at the 190 with a 30 million gallon shortfall next month?
Yeah, we're now using, we're now blending less. And so last year we were blending a lot more at this time. So we were probably gonna see that trend moving forward until we decide if we're able to blend more or not.
And to correct that, is there a need to correct that? As far as production amount and distribution?
I guess just researching and determining more the effect of the blend. I mean, how I guess as if we're gonna have more calls or less calls as far as complaints in the distribution system.
So this in particular is related to the colored water
Right.
issue, and so the manganese. And so the initial attempt to reduce the manganese going into the system was related to just adding a crud ton of chemicals and having no blend. And so instead of that, we're doing kind of 5% bypass. And yeah, we're kind of coming up with about the same manganese levels as what we did when we had the crud ton of chemicals and no blend.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Oh, and just a quick aside to that, also, this is what the optimization study is going to be helping
Right.
us get through.
Capital
Yeah.
improvement deal. Yep.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, and members of the board. My name is Jorge Santillan, Finance Manager. We'll go over the authority's financial performance as of the month of June 30, 2026. I'm beginning with operating revenues from member assessments on line number 2. Looking at the very last column, the amount is 5,843,523. From this amount, we minus the total operating expenses shown on line number 10 of 4,741,207. This results in the line number 11, operating income of 1,102,316. Continuing with non-operating revenues and expenses, we add the line number 18, net non-operating revenues of 121,905. This results in the line number 21, the change in net position of 1,224,221. We add this amount to the net position at the beginning of the year and results in the net position at the end of July, line number 23, of 28,112,956. This is the expenses by classification, by type and account. And just as a reference, the month of June represents 83.3% of the fiscal year. Looking at the very last column by the account type, personnel, it's at, as of June, it's at 71.2% spent. Operating office expenses, 86.6. This is mainly attributed to the utility expenses. Operating materials and supplies, it's at 67.2%. Operating miscellaneous and general expenses, at 53.8%. Transportation expenses, 55.6%. Maintenance of general plant, 35.9%. Operating consultants and outside services, 52.1%. And operating purchase minor tools and equipment, 44.4%. The total expenses through June, the second column, 3.7 million. The percentage of budget spent, the very last column, the last percentage, 67.8%. And this is the end of my presentation. Any questions?
I mean, some of this seems weird, like security services. You know, we definitely have security guards at the plant. So is this a different type of security service? In 76, operating consultants, outside services, 7650.
Which account, 76?
7650, it says year-to-date actuals are
Yeah,
zero.
on this one, we need to reach out to our security department. Perhaps there's some expenses that we need to, I know for a fact that some expenses need to be charged here, so maybe they're miscoded, so we need to reclassify them from PUB into the SRWA.
Okay.
But that's, we need to reach out to them, and I believe on this one I had reach out to them, but maybe I need to send a reminder. And some of these items also I was checking the for budget for next year, and some of these items, especially some with the zeros, for example, 7520, which is above zero expenses to date, it has been removed from next year's budget. So there's some items that have been reduced or removed from next year's budget.
Okay, okay. Yeah, okay, great. Any other questions?
And 7295 would fall into that same situation. We don't use membrane
That one,
cleaner.
I don't know if they requested it next year, but that's something we can. On that one, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that one, but
Maybe all the zeros need to be checked.
yes, definitely.
Okay, thank you. Hmm? Yeah, sand is zero.
And I know we're using membrane cleaners, so maybe we just haven't, yeah,
Right.
it'd be interesting to know, get some color on that.
Okay.
Incorrect coding.
Oh, you gotta press the,
You have to budget the amount. I mean, I know they want to take them out, but what if you just leave them in zero?
The budget amount for what?
Yeah, like you have some items, 7805, you have a budget of $2,500, but you didn't spend anything. Can you just leave it in zero? So you can keep it on your budget
For which account?
without amending it again and putting it back in for future budgets?
Any specific account? I'm sorry. Which account?
No, because in your budget, let's say 7805 computer equipment, you budgeted 2,500 and you didn't spend it, correct? But next year you might not use it, but you want to leave it in your thing and leave it in zero. That way you don't have to come back and amend it and put it in the thing. That way you always have it there for future budgets.
Well, this is true. At the end of September, this is gonna be
Wiped out?
wiped out.
Okay.
Yeah. So the next year is gonna be brand
Different,
new
okay.
budgets. And that line, I don't know if they request, which we're gonna see it in the next agenda items. But the plan, I mean, it was requested. The plan is to, if it's there for next year's, the plan is that to spend it. I don't know why this year there was no expenses. Perhaps the plan is to spend it in the last 2 months of the year. That's something we need to ask staff for operations and see what their plan is.
I understand. At the port, if you take it off, you got to convince us to put it back on, and that's why that was my only question.
any other questions? I think we're good. Well, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for that.
Good afternoon, Board President, Board members. My name is Lupe Granam, the Investment and Treasury, Treasury and Accounting Manager for Brownsville PUB. We'll be going over the quarterly investment report for quarter ending June 30th, 2026. I'll primarily go over 2 of the slides. The other slides are more supplemental information. Um, The first slide we have here is, this report is prepared for the Southmost Regional Water Authority in accordance with Chapter 2256 of the Public Funds Investment Act, PFIA, Section 2256.023A of the PFIA states that no less than quarterly, the investment officer shall prepare and submit to the governing body of the entity a written report of the investment transactions for all funds covered by this chapter for the preceding reporting period. This report, which covers a quarter ended September 30, 2026, is signed by the investment officers and includes the disclosure required by the PFIA. The investment portfolio complies with the PFIA and SRWA's approved investment policy and throughout the quarter. All investments transactions made in the SRWA portfolio during this quarter were made on behalf of SRWA and were in full compliance with the PFRA and SRWA's approved investment policy. I'm going to go over the schedule that's right in the middle there. Assets under column A, bank deposits. Under column C, we have market value of $392,053. On column E, percentage of portfolio, 2.5% of the portfolio. Yield at maturity, 3.78%. Second item under column A, assets, certificate deposits. Column C, market value, $3,607,000. A percentage of portfolio, 23%. Yield to maturity, 4.02%. Next asset class under A, investment, in pool investments. Total market value, $8,788,000. Percentage portfolio under column E, 57%. Yield to maturity, 3.65%. Last column under assets A, money market, total $2,633,000. Percentage portfolio, 17%. Yield to maturity, 3.52%. On this schedule, gives a detail of those different asset classes. The first one you have is the deposit, Texas Regional Bank. Total market value, $392,053.22. Yield, 3.78%. We have next asset class, certificate deposits. We have total of 15 certificate deposits. Total market value under column H of $3,607,000. The CDs range between 3.86% and 4.48%. The third class on there is investment in pools, which also includes term investments. Total of $8,788,751.18. Yield on that, 3.65%. And last, money market with U.S. Bank of $2,633,869.33 of yield at 3.52. Total investments, $50,421,673.73 with a yield of 3.72%. As a comparison, the 3-month treasury bill on this one's 3.66%, which we're exceeding that. That's our benchmark. The rest of the slides are informational only. That concludes my presentations, unless you have any questions.
Just a really quick question. I've seen, years of these presentations, and I kind of wonder, why don't we just put more in our bank deposits? The yield to maturity seems to be higher.
We are transitioning on that. We had to increase our letter of credit. Our initial letter of credit was a little bit low this month. So the month of June, we didn't have the timing to increase the letter of credit, but that is our strategy to start moving some more monies into the bank depository to earn some better yield compared to our investments in the pools.
Okay, so it takes a little bit more effort than just clicking a mouse and saying, okay, I'm moving my money
No,
here
it was, initially we had a 500,000 letter of credit. We increased that to 3 million, but it took us a few days to get that done. That should be reflected on next report, that balance should be increasing.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you. Any other questions? Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you.
and the drought update.
I do want to add on the previous number that the next month you'll see reflection. I did see that there was a documented requesting for additional line of credit for 4.5 million to increase to a 5 million total. So, but this is a month ending on June 30th, and I'm looking at the documentation. It was signed about July 17. Absent of a CFO, I was transferring and doing some of those things, but now that we have Mr. Locke here, he will be taking over some of that responsibility as well.
Sounds great, thank you.
Mr. President, members of the board, my name is Jaime Flores. I'm the Water Resources Administrator, and I'm providing you with a drought update. Use combined ownership of Amistad and Falcon reservoirs as of August 1st, 2026 stood at 32.9%. As of the last previous readings, July 11th, 27.1%, July 18th, 28.9%, July 25th, 33.2%. Made note about the colors for the graphs. Is that any better or more or
Thank
less? Okay.
I noticed.
The National Weather Service August to October 2026 outlook, the Lower Rio Grande Valley, Deep South Texas region, a hotter than normal outlook is anticipated through August to October 2026. Confidence is greatest between August through September. Amistad International Reservoir remained near historic lows at the end of July. Falcon received a slight boost in mid-July, but remained very low. Confidence remains near certain 100% on total storage, remaining just above record lows through September. And despite a dry pattern favored to continue to September, October could see a transition to wetter conditions. Heavy rainfall from southwest U.S. monsoon remnant Pacific tropical cyclones could bring flooding. This concludes my presentation. Do you have any questions?
I do have an announcement before you ask any questions. Brownsville Public Utilities Board did move from a stage 2 to a stage 1 based on the reservoir levels and other indicators on there. We are still not out of the drought. Doesn't mean that next year we're going to potentially move back in. It depends on how much the water behind our reservoir systems and how quickly the rest of the valley drawdowns on it.
Great. Any other questions? I think
Thank
we're
you.
good. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the next action item, consideration and possible action on the fiscal year 2027 operations and maintenance, and capital budgets.
Mr. President, members of the board, this is the second an updated presentation of the Y27 proposed budget for the which includes the O&M, debt service, and capital budgets. This slide gives you summarizes the revisions made since July at the July 13 board meeting. At that meeting, the FY27 proposed allocation was $7,807,158. Then since then, we had a decrease to personal budget of $12,371. This was due to adjustments to the cost of living and benefit cost. Specifically, the June's consumer price index, which drives the cost of living adjustment, went down from 3.5% to 3.2%. So 3.2%, that's what we're using for the proposed budget for the cost of living. And then also we had updates to the medical plan projections. We also had decreases to the capital budget of in the amount of $26,969. And this was to remove the reverse osmosis permeate piping backflow modification in the engineering phase of the project, which was determined complete in FY26. Also, we had an increase to the non-personnel rental of equipment. This was for generator rental required due to emergency generator failure at the reverse osmosis plant. And this is a 22-year-old piece of equipment that seems to be beyond repair. The amount is $120,000. Now, on this item, also we notify our grants team. Sometimes they provide funding through FEMA, so just to be on the lookout in case there's some funding that we can apply for in the future. So the updated FY27 proposed allocation, $7,887,818. The net allocation increase, $80,660. And there were other revisions that had no impact to the allocation. We removed from the CIP, we removed a scissor lift for $15,596 and a forklift for $47,594. Those were paid in July. And we removed the capital request, but also reduced the cash in hand to reflect the payments made in July. This is the updated FY27 proposed budget summary. The O&M, the updated number, 5.6 million, 22,744, which is 126,760, or 2.3 above the FY26 budget. No change to the debt service, so 2.2 million. The updated capital amount, the new amount, 2.6 million, 14,111, which is 12,816 below the previous year. And there was no changes to the interest earnings of 360,000. The total FY27 proposed member assessment, again, is 7,887,818, an increase of 96,454, or 1.24% from FY26. This is the updated 27 budget allocation by participant. Column G shows on line number 6, again, the same amount, the proposed allocation, 7.8 million. And then line number 7, that's the last year's FY26 allocation of 7,791,364. So the increase from FY26 is 96,454 on line number 8, or percentage-wise is 1.24% increase over FY26 numbers. These are the this and next 5 slides show the contributions for each of the participants from FY26 through FY27. And here's BPUB, last column I, last line number 5. The increase is 89,614. Valley Municipal Utility District number 2, 2,421. Looking at the very last column and the last line. City of Los Fresnos, the increase 2,201, the increase from 2026. Brownsville Navigation District 2026. And then the town of Indian Lake 192,000. And then this is the combined company-wide 96,454, increase from FY26. Here we have the updated proposed personnel budget, and the changes here in column D, we updated line number 5. We reduced the taxes and benefits for all the positions, and also updated the line number 6, the cost of living adjustment. The total line number 7, overall personnel budget 1,246,382, which is a reduction of 12,371 from the first draft. Column E, the total increase from the FY26 approved budget, shown on line number 7, is 118,899. And this one shows the this slide, the next one shows all the line items, the variances by line item between FY26 and 27, along with a brief comment on the last column. And here the only change was on line number 6, where we added the rental of the generator for 120,000. The total amount, 126,758, column E, line number 11. This is the detail of all the proposed line items for FY27, shown on column J by expense and type and account. And in column L, you see the percentage variances. There's some increases, but as well as there's some decreases as well. Account 7325, rental equipment, that's where it shows the change to the rental equipment, where we added that 120,000. The total amount, column K, the very last line, 126,758, and the percentage variance from 2026, 2.31%. This is the proposed capital improvement plan. Here, as requested at the last board meeting, we added column F, we added the percentage completion as of July 2026. And beginning with on the total funding sources, there were no changes there. It stays at, well, there was changes because we removed those amounts paid during July. So the new amount, funding sources, 3.6 million, 14,111. The funding uses, lines 6 through 16, 3,595,469. Capital equipment, shown on line number 19, 18,642, which equals on line 21 the total FY27 funding uses of 3,614,111, which matches the funding sources. Now, on the percentages, there was some correction, and the original packet had for line number 15 had a 50%, but there should have been 0%. So this presentation shows the right percentage of 0%, and also I believe we placed a revised copy in front of you. Now, these are the CIP projects we are recommending for approval at this time. However, staff may bring new capital projects during the year that we feel may improve the efficiency of the SRWA, and those will be approved as on a one-on-one, on a case-by-case basis. These are the projects for future years. And, there's no funding requirement at this time for these items. Any questions?
Mr. Santillan, question about this generator. I think I may be a little confused here. Back in June, we approved a renewal on the rental of a generator, I believe 1,000 kW generator for the plant. And now we have another emergency generator we're budgeting for. And I'm assuming that renewal was already in the budget.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm assuming this is a different one, but I may ask somebody from staff that perhaps can explain that.
Okay.
Mr. President, members of the board, that is correct. You all approved the rental of a generator, and that was for the microfiltration. This generator is going to be for the reverse osmosis and high service pumps. That was a permanent that we had since we initiated the plant back in 2004.
And
That
how
was
much,
the one that went bad.
how much power is
It's
that?
about 1,000 kilowatt.
So, we have two rentals out there for independent units. Would it be better to rent one bigger one? Would we recognize any savings? Or would it be better just to buy one? Like, how much are these costing, like, to buy? Did we have a cost analysis?
Yes, I've asked that question to our electrical department, and they're saying that an estimated cost just to replace what we have is like $900,000.
Okay,
Or-
so
or-
roughly 8 years of operation on the rental, we could have a new generator.
Correct.
If we could see that cost analysis, and also the idea of, hey, why have two separate 100 kilowatt generators? Why not get a 200 kilowatt generator? Just so we can understand, what analysis has been done and how this money's being spent.
We can ask our electrical engineering department to come and report on that
Yeah.
to see if that's something that can be done.
Okay, it would just be good for our own
Correct.
knowledge. Because I know, a 5 megawatt generator is something like in the few $1 million. And so if 200 kilowatt generators at 900,000, maybe just oversizing it and selling power onto the grid. I don't know. It'd be worth knowing.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, if we can know how many backup generators we have at the plant. So we have one for microfiltration, we have one for RO, maybe there's one for the office, just so all the backup power needs are understood as well.
Yeah, for sure, there's two of them that we need. There's different switch gears, one for the microfiltration, and the other one is for the building, the AC, and high service pumps.
Yeah, so just knowing, how many we have and
Sure.
need. Okay, great.
And to check on the load, are we overkilling with 2,000 kilowatt generators plus an office generator?
Yeah,
Analyze exactly what's needed.
yeah, we can do that request to our electrical engineering department.
That's roughly, just based off the numbers we've had, That's roughly $250,000, a year. So just
Correct.
being able to talk about it and know about it would be helpful.
Sure.
If I can put my 2 cents in real quick, we bought generators before, and sometimes every entity is different, but for us, we studied, and it was more cost effective to rent one than to actually own one, because if you own one, then you got to maintain it, and you have to be after it all the time. Whereas if you rent one, it doesn't work. You call the people that are leasing it to you, and they bring you another one. But just a thought, so you guys can.
Yeah.
No.
That would be valuable to understand as well, Just so we have the whole story.
Sure. Thank you.
So, Mr. President, on that area, yes, we have a full plan on the generators, not only at the plant, but also for the well distribution system. As you recall, in one of the presentations, we received some funding with respect to generators. And so what we'll like to do is we'll bring a future agenda item on a holistic plan for SRWA, including the grants, the money that we have awarded, the load structure that has for each one of the components at the plant, and then the strategy behind. And I do agree with Mr. Lopez's assessment, that renting the generator has been most cost-effective, but if you want to see the analysis behind that, I'll work with the team in order to have that provided for us.
Sounds great.
And this is an action item, so if there's no other questions,
Can I get a motion, Mr. President?
And anybody want a second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passed. I get to hit my gavel. Okay, great, thank you.
thank you.
And now, final item, just discussion on the time and date of the next board meeting.
So yes, the next scheduled meeting is probably on the 14th, unless you want to meet on Labor Day weekend, which is a holiday. I don't think that you all want to meet that day, but that's one of the reasons why it's open right now if you want to go ahead and schedule the next meeting for September the 14th.
I mean, I'm okay with aiming for the 14th. Sound good? Okay. Oh, great. With that in mind, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
A second?
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes.